So, hey everybody, this is the Faceless Preacher coming at you again. Um, I wanted to speak today about betrayal. Now, many people have been betrayed in their lives, and the bottom line is if you are a Christian, then you have to make sure you look out for this. And not only that, even if you aren't a Christian, like I'm sure many people and many of you have dealt with betrayal at one point or another. But if you are a Christian, you definitely have dealt with betrayal because it's just meant to happen in our walk with the Lord because that's just the way it goes. We are going to be betrayed in one way or the other. You know, this is life is hard, and a lot of times it comes through betrayal through people you trust. Um, and let's just talk about, and the reason why I say also it's inescapable if you are a follower of the Lord to not deal with this, is because even Jesus had to deal with it. And if the masters dealt with it, who are we? We're definitely going to, when we follow the master Jesus, we're definitely going to deal with a lot of things that he dealt with on earth because his life shows an example of what we have to deal with in a lot of things. Not everything, but in many things we have to deal with what Jesus dealt with because we carry the same testimony as Jesus, and that's for Jesus Christ. And so in our spirit, the Holy Spirit. And this is the verse that I'm going to base this on, Psalm 41:9. And of course, this verse was from David speaking by the Spirit. And he was speaking in the future almost to be able to show the things that the Messiah would deal with or the things that Jesus would deal with. Because of course, everybody knows, not everybody, but you should know that David was a king, one of the greatest kings of Israel. And he also was a prophet. Okay, so he also prophesies things to come. A lot of things that he prophesied to come was the fact about the fact about Jesus and the things that Jesus would go through. And this was one of the things that he prophesied through one of his psalms, because a lot of times he spoke through his music and when he was ministering. And a lot of people even today, they prophesy over music. A lot of times in the Bible, the prophet would call for an instrument, or I want to hear a lyre, or I want to hear a harp, because that would help them drive their prophecy. So I'm going to go to this verse, Psalm 41:9. Even my close friend, someone I trusted, one who shared my bread, has turned against me. That's Psalm 41:9. And of course that talks about different people and how you can become close to somebody and they betray you. I mean, instinctively, detailed shares about the fact that Jesus was betrayed by Judas, someone that was one of his closest friends. Judas was like a brother to Jesus when it comes to the disciples, because all the disciples were like brothers to Jesus. He had his normal brothers, from Mary, but those brothers did not believe in him. It even says in the Bible, Matthew, that even his brothers did not believe in him. Now, I'm not sure if that was in Matthew, but I do know it was in the New Testament. But it does say that his brothers didn't start believing in him until after he was resurrected from the grave. James was one of his brothers, but he didn't come to the faith until after he arose from the dead. But his main brothers in on the world were his disciples, and that's just the truth. So Judas was one of his good friends, were close friends, and Judas betrayed him. We look back and we say, oh, Judas was this, Judas was that. But at the time, Judas was just his brother to Jesus as Peter and James and everybody else, John, everybody else. It's just Judas chose to betray Jesus. He made that choice. And we're just going to look at what the definition of betray is: to expose one's country or group. And this is just one definition. There's many definitions. But to expose one's country or group, a group or a person, to danger by treacherously giving information to an enemy. Now, it's usually someone that has to be close to you, or someone that is given a trust of something valuable, whether it be secret information, That would be detrimental if it fell into the wrong hands, or money or valuables. I mean, so let's see. It also can be someone who you trust with a relationship of some sort. This could be like a family member or acquaintance or a friend. You trust that person relationship. For example, you might be in a dating relationship with someone, or and that person betrays you, and you give them their trust of your love and what you tell them in confidence, and they betray you to someone else. Or it could be an engagement, it could be a marriage, it could just be a friendship. You tell your friends your secrets. I mean, you might be in high school. I don't know who I'm talking to. You could be in high school. You could be, just like in middle age and just have a career. You tell somebody something that you're planning on doing or planning on starting, and they end up taking that idea and using it to further their own agenda and not giving you credit. That's a betrayal right there. That's another example of a betrayal. So many of us have gone through betrayals, but it takes that person getting close to you first. It takes that trust, because that deceiver has to gain a trust to be able to get something from you. Now, that's the thing. When we start thinking about why they betray that trust, people might betray your trust for many reasons. Financial gain. They might want to get some type of money out of it. They could just be jealous of you. They could just, not like you because they're jealous of you. They want what you have. And they feel like if they could betray you in a certain way to have that, even if they necessarily don't have it exactly as you had it, then they'll feel better about themselves. Also, it could be like for a promotion of some sort. Like I said, with a job, they could see that you have an idea, get that idea, and maybe you guys are both in the running for this job, and they go behind your back and do the same thing that you're going to do. And then maybe that boss takes that idea as it being from them, and they get promoted instead of you. That's another reason why somebody might betray somebody. It can be it could just be just for revenge. They could feel like you did something wrong. You might not even know. That's why it's very dangerous to not tell someone if somebody's hurt you, and if somebody has hurt you. It's very dangerous to not tell them how you feel if you guys are an actual friendship or relationship of some sort, that you just don't brush it under the rug and be like, oh, it's all right, and it's really bothering you. You need to really go to that person, because it can harbor bitterness feelings, and that those bitterness feelings can grow to jealousy, to grow to anger and hate, and then it can eventually go to revenge, to where you feel like you have to get revenge for what this person has done to you. And this person might not have even really known they really harmed you. They might have did it on purpose, but sometimes people hurt people's feelings, and that's not even their intention. So you have to know these things. That's why it's good to have open and honest conversations with people and deal with people that are real. And I mean, sometimes you just gotta go to people. Like, if you're friends with somebody, like, I'll give you an example. If you're friends with somebody and you feel like you're the only one investing whatever you're investing in that relationship, that person's not investing anything in that relationship, that should be red flags. Like, if you're sitting there telling them, and it don't even have to be like money. Like, people think like investment is just about money and material things, or investment can be time, energy, that you can invest with your emotions and your secrets, and invest about your vulnerabilities. That's an investment in somebody. When you tell somebody, when you're vulnerable with somebody in that way, and you tell them your past or something that might have hurt you or past traumas, that's investing in that person. And if you're just the only one investing in that relationship, and it's just a one way, you're the only one telling this person your hopes and dreams, you're the only one telling this person your fears, you're the only one telling this person what you think about the future and what you want from this relationship, the person's not really telling you things. That person's not really being vulnerable with you about certain things. I mean, I can see up front they might not, because they might not know you. But if it gets to a certain point and you guys have known each other for a longer times, months go by, and that's person, and you feel like you're the only one opening up, this person's not seeing anything, there's a good chance this person is taking your information and spreading it around. Why? Because they feel like they don't have to do anything. They could just receive from you, listen. I mean, some people think, oh, well, this person's a good listener. That might be so. But at the same time, if this person's not really investing in the way the relationship like you're investing, that person's just taking everything that you're giving them. And usually if they're not discussing with you and trying to talk to you on the phone about certain things, usually they're taking that information and they're going to tell somebody else. I mean, it's sad, but that's just the case in a lot of situations. If they're not feeding off of what you're saying and inputting more things from their personal lives, and it's not like a balanced, you should always have a balance. Your relationship should always be balanced in a way. And if they're not doing that, they're not contributing or investing in a certain amount of time, in the amount of energy, whatever you're investing, the 9 times at the end, they just want to just receive things from you. They just want to receive whatever you're investing. Like if you're giving them rides and they never feel like, oh, well, maybe one time I'll take you somewhere, or maybe not. And it might not be even reciprocated in the same thing, because say they might not have a car, but you're giving them a bunch of rides. And they're not trying to say, oh, well, maybe one time I can buy you dinner, or maybe one time I can help you out with your homework. I see you're in school and you're dealing with this. I can help you with that. You know, you can take me here. You always do this for me. They should be wanting to do something for you, because that's just how somebody who wants to invest in a relationship will do. If they're not doing anything, if you're always a person calling, you're always a person, it's always one way, 9 times out of 10, this person is not really looking at you as the same way that you're looking at them. So you're wasting your time. To be honest. And when you're in that situation, sadly, 9 times out of 10, a lot of times you end up getting betrayed, because this person is not valuing that relationship as much as you are, whether it be a friendship, an acquaintance, or anything. They're not investing in it, so they don't really care much about it. So they can blatantly feel like they could they could really sacrifice it by doing whatever they want to do to get out of it, what they want to get out of it. But they don't want to lift you up. They're just basically trying to get what they want to get out of the relationship with you and how they see it. And that's another thing too. To avoid betrayal, a lot of times we have to be honest with ourselves and ask that person. You know, a lot of people don't like doing that. But when you meet someone organically, it's like a lot of the other people say, or you meet somebody, you know, not like looking somewhere, or not on dating sites, or not on places like that. You just like meet them. You know, a lot of times people like the whole excitement of not knowing what we are, and but see, all that stuff's for high school. Let me be honest with you guys. When you're adults, you need to establish, and I wouldn't even say for high school, because really I'm just saying like it's immature. Even if some people right now, if you're in high school and you're watching this, you need to just look at it like this: do I want to go through all the immaturity? Or do I learn the hard way? Or do I want to just do things in a mature way and not have to learn by hard life lessons? Like if you're in a relationship, or if you have a friendship with somebody from the very beginning, especially when it's opposite sex, very beginning, you need to establish, what are we? What are we? I've been talking to you for a little while. I can see that you're a cool person. You might have interest in what I'm interested in. I'm interested in your interest in. What is this? What do we have? You establish what this is. Is this a friendship? Are we just an acquaintances? Are we, establish that, especially women. A lot of guys, they like to string you along and stuff like that. And not just, the guys, women do it too. But it's really for both of y'all. But majority, a lot of times, it is women that get like dealt a certain way, because they allow that man to just basically not talk. They don't they will not ask them questions like, well, how are you? What do you do? What are you into? I need to know more than just, you love me or you care about me, And even from a guy's perspective, a lot of times guys just see this woman, she's so beautiful and everything like that, and she's telling me everything what I want to hear, and sometimes it's like, well, what do you feel? Why do you like me? Like, you just get them down. Like, ask those questions. Like, why do you enjoy talking to me? Like, what do you get out of it? Like, what do you think? Who am I to you? Who am I to you? Like, who am I? One of my dad's favorite movies is this one movie, and the guy's like, well, who is she to you? Do you want to know, like, what relationship am I to you? I want to know. I want to know, because when you get that idea of that foundation, that helps a lot, because that person starts stuttering and starts like, well, we're just, no, not, we're just doing what? Like, what are we doing? Like, are we just messing around? Like, what is this? I need to know. You need to know, because if you cannot define a relationship, that relationship is headed for a breakup. Bottom line. Even if it's a friendship, you can't define friendship from the beginning, or if you're like, well, what are we? That relation, that's where confusion comes in, because then you have one person feeling like, this person, I feel like this person is going to be my new boyfriend or my new girlfriend or my new this or do that, and that person has and it might not even be by mistake. That person has a totally different idea from what it is you guys are. That person might be like, I actually have a good study partner, and this study partner is really good, to study with. That might be in that person's mind. I love studying with this person because they always have the good notes. They always are ready. They always help me when I need it. And that other person's already having wedding plans. Like, so you got to make sure you make that foundation. And that's another way you can avoid betrayal. But, that's just another way you can avoid betrayal, because you can actually tell if this person's investing in it as much as I am. If this person goes and I mean, it's bad to think that way. Sometimes, when you start thinking about it in a negative way, where you're saying, like, I know some people like to think, oh, well, this person's not going to do this because I know this about them. That's thinking about it in more of a negative way. If this person does this, I'll just tell them, it's almost like putting up a preemptive strike, like putting up things in your mind, like a defense mechanism, where it's like, if this person does end up betraying me, I can just say this about them because I know this about them. We all think about it. I mean, come on, guys. That's what we think if we've been hurt in the past. But the bottom line is, you don't think about it in that perspective. You think about it in the perspective of, I'm helping out this person like this. I'm investing in this person, my time and energy like this person. What is this person doing for me? What's the purpose of this person being in my life? We have to have purposeful relationships. Purposeful. We have to be very purposeful with them. If we're not, then it leads to confusion. It leads to betrayal. It leads to these things. So this is just some things that to get your mind going about how to avoid it. And like I said, we can't always avoid betrayal. And one thing I want you to not do is get stuck in a why. If you have been betrayed in your life, if you've gone through betrayal, try not to get stuck in a why, God, why me, because when it comes down to it, look what happened to Jesus. He was beaten. He was tried in a phony trial. A lot of people think, we need justice for these people. And believe me, those people need justice that get killed, by cops or other things like that. But think about all of what happened to Jesus. He did nothing wrong at all because he was perfect in all his ways. He got betrayed by his friend. All his other friends that didn't betray him left him, to deal with the Pharisees and deal with getting beaten and whipped on. He was whipped. Even the guy Pilate, who wanted to let him go and knew that he did nothing wrong, just bowed to the crowd because the crowd was trying to act like they were going to riot, and Pilate wanted to keep his job. So he just looked at Jesus as a bargaining tool and just gave him what they wanted, just to keep the crowd quiet, even though Pilate even knew he did nothing wrong, because he even said, I have found no basis in this man. I even go to that verse real quick because I love that verse. He goes, here we go. John 19:6. 19:5. Pilate just had him scored. So basically Pilate just had Jesus whipped. And he was trying to at least get him out, let the people feel, he thought maybe the people would be satisfied with him just being whipped and that'd be it. So 19, start with 4. Pilate then went out again and said to him, Behold, I am bringing him out to you, that you may know that I find no fault in him. Then Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns. So he has the thorns implanted in his head. He was bleeding because they had tortured him in this way. And Pilate thought that maybe be enough to soothe the crowd. Thorns and purple robe. And Pilate said to them, Behold the man. So he said, look at him. Look how much I've done to him already. Therefore, when the chief priests and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him. Crucify him. And then Pilate's like, he says to them, You take him and crucify him, for I have find no fault in him. See, Pilate knew that he did nothing wrong. So he was trying to tell them to do, because he didn't want that on his conscience. You know, people say Pilate really had a conscience. His conscience was showing right then. And so the Jews answered him, We have a law, and according to our law, he ought to die because he made himself the Son of God. Therefore, when Pilate heard that saying, he was more afraid. Pilate started becoming afraid because he got stuck in a corner. He started cutting corner for his job and to do what is right. Unfortunately, she chose his job to keep the peace over what was right. He saw what was right and not to condemn Jesus. So that's just another example about how, you know, it's just an example how, you know, how much Jesus had to go through, you know, and Jesus never, you know, Jesus never thought to himself to where he felt, you know, I mean, if Jesus went, based on what I'm trying to say is, Jesus went through all that. We as people can't ask God why. I mean, we can say why, but at the same time, we can't actually, comparing what Jesus went through and us, it's nothing. Because we can never go through as much pain and torture and spiritual things, separation from God, like Jesus dealt with. If we're believers, we cannot go through that, because Jesus is the only person who had that Holy Spirit to where he was actually separated from God at that one point where he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because he was forsaken, you know. But in our Bible, like it says that God will never forsake you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. So, because we will never be leaving nor forsaken, because Jesus was forsaken for us. So don't try to get caught up in the why and try to think, well, why is this happening to me, Lord? Because instead of saying, why am I going through this betrayal? Why am I going through this? Go to Jesus, because Jesus went through what you went through, but much worse. And instead of saying, why, Jesus, is this happening to me? Say, Jesus, you've gone through this. Help me. Give me strength. Give me the strength that you had when you went through this to help me get through this, Lord. You can identify with my pain. See, I don't care what religion you are. No other God can say they identify with our pain. But to say Jesus is Lord, we can see what he went through. And Jesus actually can identify with our pain. Jesus didn't have no kids. Jesus didn't have no wife. Jesus was killed, brutally murdered, but he ended up raising from the dead. But he was brutally tortured and murdered without doing anything wrong. Nothing at all. At a young age. He said he was about 33. Because he started his ministry at age 30, and he had 3 years of ministry. That would put him in his 33rd year when he got crucified. He was about 33 years old at a young age. So like I said, we can never say that our God, Jesus, God in the flesh, did not experience what we're going through. So you ask for strength. Even though when you want to say why, you want to know, sometimes we'll never know until we get to heaven why bad things happen to us and why we're betrayed. But the bottom line is we go to him for strength. And I just hope that you got something from this video on betrayal. And if you're going through betrayal right now, I will say this, I've gone through a horrible betrayal in my life. And I just want to know it. I just want to let you know it has nothing to do with you. Okay? It has, when you betrayed, even with Jesus, because remember after Jesus was betrayed, he actually fulfilled what God had in his life. And that was to be resurrected from the grave. Because that's the victory. The victory comes in the resurrection. Not just the fact that he died, but the resurrection. He had to go through death and pain and torture to get to the resurrection. He wouldn't have been able to get to the resurrection if he wasn't tortured and killed. So he had to go through that betrayal. He had to go through that to get to that next level. Just the same as we do. You have to go through, you're going through what you are going through right now. You're going through all that betrayal. You're going through all that heartache to put you in the next level. And I'm going to tell you guys, ever since this betrayal, it seemed like what God called me to do, I've been walking in it, literally walking in it. But before that, in my life, I could not see myself getting to those steps. But it took that betrayal. It took that, what I'm going through right now at the same time. Right now, by the way, it's happening now in my life. It took that, though, to get me to that next level. So yeah, it's tough. It hurts. It's painful, very painful. But at the same time, I slowly see myself accepting that call. I slowly see myself. I see Jesus opening those doors everywhere that before I could not see it possible. So I just want to say, just hold on to God's unchanging hand. Hold on. When you need strength, ask for it. All right, thanks for watching my video. Like I said, even if it was just one person, I thank you for my subscribers. I have 14 right now, and I love every single one of you because it's not about numbers, but it's about quality, and it's about reaching out, even if it's just one person, and trying to change that person, trying to sow the good seed into them so they truly can get faith from that and accept Jesus as Lord and Savior and start to walk in the spiritual way and the spiritual way that God wants them to walk. Because it says, walk by the Spirit and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching my video.